We're really excited about this game this week. Obviously, anytime you get to play an in-state team, there's a natural rivalry between the two teams. A lot of these players have gone against each other in high school, maybe even back to youth football league, and a lot of players from the same hometown. I think our fans that come to the game know players, and there's players from their hometowns that they watch playing for Alcorn. As well as Alcorn fans coming up here to watch our players play. So I think the opportunity to play these games is a real benefit for the state of Mississippi, for the people of Mississippi, for our fans. Great opportunity for people that haven't been to the university before to come up and see it, to get up here. So hopefully, we're hoping to get our seventh consecutive sellout. I know there's some tickets available, and we hopefully sell this out so we can continue to play these in-state rivals, and continue what we hope to be an every year kind of tradition of playing one of the in-state teams from the SWAC.
Dan, you hit on a little bit yesterday about the first third of the season, how you kind of look at it that way. Coming out of it, going into the Alcorn State game, and I guess maybe the second third. How do you feel with your position right now, and could you maybe just go over that first third and how things went?
Yeah, it's obviously. I mean, you'd like to be better. When you envision, I don't go into the season saying, okay, well, I expect to lose games. But you know what? I'm pleased with the way that our teams played through this first third. I mean, we had a very, very difficult, what I view as a difficult schedule early in the season. I look around, a lot of people, aren't playing top 25 teams, the first, heavy front-loaded in that part of their schedule around the country. So I was pleased with the way our team came out of the gate, competed in all these games, performed, and continually improved from week to week. And, what you saw mistakes in week 1 that are not made in week 4. And there's still a lot of mistakes in week 4 that hopefully, when we finish the second stretch of the season after week 9, we're not going to see those anymore, that we continually improve from week to week. Yeah, it could be. We'll see. I mean, the game's certainly not defining our season. We have a lot of football. We have this next run, though, is a little different. We're 1-2 in conference, so this next run is not loaded with conference games. We need to improve as a football team and get ready for that finishing stretch, which I think we finished with 4 straight conference games at the end of the year. That's going to be critical.
Dan, I know these FCS schools have this weird thing at the end of the year where they have a tournament to decide the national championship. Do you impress on your team this week that this is kind of Alcorn's bowl game? Is that a big motivating factor for you guys? Or
no, I think it's just, it's a rivalry game. That's the benefit for us of being able to play an in-state team. We're not playing an FCS school from Arizona or California or somewhere where I think the natural rivalry of a lot of the players haven't played against each other before. I think that is what is going to be a huge motivating factor for our team this week.
Dan, on the running backs, it seems like Vic is getting more of the carries. Robert only had 1. Can you kind of touch on both those guys? What you've been seeing from Vic to get him all that playing time, and why we didn't see much of Robert?
Yeah, I just think we rotate them. And a lot of it might be by play call in that series. Robert certainly plays a bunch of plays for us. And a lot of times, and we're running a lot, but when you run option plays, the defense is determining who's carrying the ball more than the offense. So I think all of that has to do with it. There's not a conscious decision on our part that one is getting more carries than the other. I think a lot of that's determined by the defense and just within their rotation. I know Greg, we talk about it, and he just keeps a regular rotation of the game of those guys rolling through.
Dan, in past weeks you talked about you wanted people to step up and make plays. You wanted to cut down on the mistakes. For the most part, that happened Saturday. Do you feel like your team grew up, and do you think they can continue that with the coming weeks, like you mentioned, the non-conference games?
Well, we need to if we want to be successful. There were a lot of mistakes in that game that we can clean up. We had the potential of 5 turnovers. We fumbled 3 times through 2 interceptions. Netted 1 turnover out of those. So we still had a lot of mistakes made that could have put us in bad situations. Fortunately they didn't. We recovered the ball. There was a penalty on the on the interception. So those are things that we still have a lot of cleaning up to do in our within our program, and it's a fine line. You know, I mean, it is a fine line between being really, really happy on a Sunday and really upset on a Sunday, and it's one or two plays in the course of the game, and we'd like to get it where it isn't that, where we're consistently performing at a high level.
Coach, kind of back to Brad's question, just talk about what you've seen from Ballard, you know, in these first 4 games.
He runs physical. You know, he runs physical, done a good job, running the ball. Was pleased on 4th and 1, you know, just to watch his run, not trying to do anything special, just had a great low pad level driving off the ball to get the first down, and has been productive for us. He's been very productive for us. So I'm pleased with how he's playing, but, you know, I'm pleased with Ladarius and pleased with Robert as well of the production that they're giving to the offense right now. That, you know, they had big shoes to fill, those 3 guys this season, and they're doing a nice job of doing that.
Dan, since you've seen all 3 guys Sunday and maybe this morning, can you update us on Fletcher Cox and your 2 tight ends, their physical condition?
Yeah, you know, Fletcher's doubtful for this weekend with an ankle sprain. You know, the 2 tight ends ran. Marcus's injury is a little bit more severe than Brandon. So we expect Brandon. Talked to the trainers just a couple minutes ago, and we expect Brandon to play this weekend. Marcus is still going to be day to day. You know, in how he goes. He still has a little bit of swelling in his. You know, he ran practice some yesterday and had some swelling today. So we just got to see how he feels tomorrow. No, they haven't. They're wearing them for practice. They wear like a regular lineman or knee braces that we practice in, but no.
Dan, are you going into this Alcorn State game looking to play some of the younger guys, get them more minutes than they have been?
We're going into the game looking to win. Do every single game. That's priority number 1 for myself and for our football team, is looking to win. So whatever it's going to take for us to win this game, if we got to run, we got to throw, we're going to, you know, on offense, got to take care of the football, score in the red zone, play great defense, and we need another strong showing out of our special teams. This is a very well coached Alcorn team. You know, you watch them on film, very, very sound, very well coached in the kicking game. You know, I think they've scored 6 non-offensive touchdowns so far this season. 2 interception returns for touchdowns, 2 fumble returns for touchdowns, 2 punt returns for touchdowns. Very dangerous team with talented players. That's a very well coached team. So I mean, our focus is do what we need to do to find a way to win this game.
Coach, you talked about 5 potential turnovers against Georgia. The team could have easily let that get to them. Did you sense a different mentality that you haven't seen yet?
Well, I saw less panic, you know, and out of our guys, and you know, when they did make a mistake, and it was a big thing for us. If you make a mistake during the game, that's fine. Don't let the mistake carry over to the next play. You know, I mean, get in the huddle and tell everybody, because sometimes someone will make a mistake and everybody will look confused about what happened. Well, how, you know, what went wrong on this play? You know, if you made a mistake, sit there and say, hey, that was my fault. I made that mistake. Don't worry, I'm going to make the next play. So we continue to gain that confidence within our team, and your teammates will know. You know, I mean, I think it's a lot better for our players to stand up and say, hey, you know, I made a mistake on that play. Don't worry, I'm not making that one again. I got us on the next play, and come back and keep playing.
Dan, y'all are the least penalized team in the SEC. I mean, is that really a sign of how disciplined the guys are each and every play?
I'm very kind to the officials on the sideline. They won't tell you that, I'm sure. No, you know what, I do. I think our guys, the attention to detail, our coaches put on it in practice. You know, we stress discipline in everything, you know, and discipline's doing what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, with the intensity needed to be successful. And, you know, it takes a lot of mental toughness. Maybe a lot of that goes to Matt Bayless in our off season. He builds in a lot of mental toughness into our workouts. Our workouts aren't just lifting weights, you know, or running sprints. There's a lot of mental toughness, and he'll do things with them that when they're exhausted, he'll challenge them, kind of doing some complex agility stuff, and you know, to make sure that they're getting the right order, that they can keep that mental focus when they're tired, and hopefully we stay the least penalized team in the league.
Derek was named the Offensive Lineman of the Week in the
Great.
SEC. Could you talk about that and what you saw from him in the Georgia game?
I think I was pleased with the offensive line as a whole, and I was expecting them to play well. They didn't play well the week before. We really challenged them, and I think you get a somewhat different result when you challenge veteran players that have done it before than maybe youngsters. Youngsters, you might get an unbelievable performance, or you don't know what you're going to get when you really go after and challenge them. We really challenged our offensive line, and I think what you saw is that the seniors step up and perform at the level they needed to perform at as a group. And Derek being named Offensive Lineman of the Week, I think is great, and I think that also has to do with the overall line play. Out of the four guys that are with them, kind of leads to that honor as well.
Without taking a snap Saturday against Georgia, how do you make sure Tyler Russell doesn't kind of like mentally check out? Because I assume you still intend to play him this year, and you're still going to need him.
He still, he takes, I'd say 40% of the reps at practice still. So, it's, if I had to add up at the end, it's probably 60-40 with reps at practice. So Tyler's getting a lot of reps at practice. So I don't think in his mind that it was. He's going to lose any focus in what is expected of him, and to be expected to play this year. So,
a guy that's been all over the field the last few games, KJ Wright. Can you talk about what you've seen out of him?
KJ's playing up to his ability. I think he took a step forward as trying to be a leader of the defense. We've really challenged our leaders to continue to step up, and I think KJ a little bit. We got to do new defensive scheme this year, and then. So I think he's getting much more comfortable in the scheme, which allows him to, I think, be a little bit better leader. And so, we need him. He and Chris are the, your two linebackers for us, and the inside linebackers are the leaders of the defense, and we need them to be strong leaders and strong players within our scheme.
Dan, I was going back through your touchdown drives from the other night. Of all the plays run in those drives, I've got 14 rushes, 3 passes. You're all finding yourself, or are you finding your identity more in the run game?
I think we were moving the ball, running the football, and our defense was playing well in that game. So I think we were able to really establish the run. And I think that if you look in those drives, the runs, those pass plays were all big passes. A lot of times you can look of where you're going to get your big plays. Very rarely are you going to go on a long drive that doesn't have a 12 to 15 yard gain in it, or two 12 to 15 yard gains along the way. There's different ways to do it. If you run the ball, you're going to open up some shots down the field throwing it. If you throw the ball a bunch underneath and you have a lot of the short passes, you're going to open up a chance for it to hit a bigger run. So I think it's just really the run was working for us, and it set up the big play in the pass that allowed us to score. We wouldn't score without without the big pass plays.
How important was some of those longer drives and going into the future and giving your defense a breather? Because I know you guys have been relying on them pretty heavy, and you guys want to be able to keep them off the field.
Well, I think the huge part of that game was the field position, and it was the drives, and not so much maybe the scoring drives even that resulted in field position. I think we did a good job with the kicking game. I did a nice job on our scoring drives. We only had 8 possessions during that game, 8 real possessions for us. And when you look, because taking a knee at the end, I don't count that as a possession. So, you're playing that type of a game where every possession is critical. I thought some of the key moments were when we started with poor field position to get a couple first downs, punt the ball, and keep them pinned back. And put them in a situation where now they have to go 80 or 90 yards to get the score. And, we took advantage of the short field when we had it, and then we had the one key drive in the fourth quarter to take it. When we started back to the wall, that we took it the length of the field and scored. Any other questions? Thank you, Coach. Yeah.